I think a trap we kind of fall into sometimes, especially in such a science and engineering intense organization as NASA, we tend to assume that innovation can only occur in technology and engineering and science. And that's not the case. A lot of innovation and a lot of change can take place outside of those technical arenas. I would say, some of the examples are simple things that managers or leaders do to make sure that their workforce is informed and motivated and gets the training and development it needs. Managers being open to different ways of assessing the capabilities and the qualifications and the standards of employees in different lines of business and different areas of expertise. There are, I think you could cite, and I could probably cite if I was a procurement person, a number of changes in the procurement processes that have led to savings in time, great savings in money. At the Kennedy Space Center, we've done something really, for us, quite extraordinary. We made a big change in how we did most of the center operation type contracts, and we went to a firm fixed price model. Now, firm fixed price has existed elsewhere, just not to this degree, and certainly not to this degree at the Kennedy Space Center. So that was an example of an innovation that came out of people getting together and talking about how we could do things differently and what makes sense to do differently and what are we open to doing differently. I think business processes, I think HR processes are constantly looking at more efficient and more effective ways to develop leaders, to hire the best and brightest. The Office of Human Capital Management right now is going through a series of steps to improve our leadership development capability and to get the best and brightest of all generations in the workforce and retain them. So there's just a few of I'm sure there are many examples in the business processes, in processes in general, that can lead to innovation of a different type. In the area of shuttle processing, for instance, there were significant improvements and innovations on the business and process and integration side of shuttle processing, along with the technology that we were trying to either sustain because there was no drag and drop replacement, or for technology that we needed to upgrade and knew we could upgrade. A great example of that is automating, bringing automation into the scheduling process. Scheduling of integrated multi-system, multi-subsystem activities is a tremendous endeavor. There were a great number of people that actually his whole job was to move magnetic strips across a gigantic whiteboard in a really large conference room. And that's how they initially had laid out schedules. And they would take a picture of that wall, and that would be the published schedule for the integrated activity. As we brought in more automation and started to trust that we wouldn't drop anything in the process of automating the mini schedules, what we called the mini schedules, where I would work on my system, but it was all the while somebody was working in the aft section of the orbiter, all the while working on Space Shuttle Discovery, while there was a similar task going on Space Shuttle Endeavour. Automating that to a degree that humans intervened when appropriate to make sure that certain jobs and tasks were inserted was a tremendous savings in time and a cost avoidance that you have a hard time putting a dollar figure to because you can't prove a negative. So you don't know what you avoided and what accidents and integration issues you avoided by avoiding them. Through this automated process. That was one example. We changed how we did engine installation. We changed how we did tile waterproofing. So there were a myriad of things that we put into place that really had nothing to do with technical innovation, had nothing to do with invention and science and engineering. It had everything to do with changing processes and being open to a change in a process, maybe 35 flights into a 135 flight program.